Household finances in India. With Union Budget 2026 approaching, India's macroeconomic indicators project stability and strong relative growth amid global uncertainty. However, a closer reading of RBI data, Financial Stability Report, Annual Report 24-25 and recent budget documents reveals a structural shift in India's growth mode. The Indian household saving less and borrowing more, thereby absorbing economic risk earlier shared by the state. Aggregates presenting a partial picture. Household debt 41.3% of GDP March 2025, lower than peers like China 60.1%, Malaysia 69.6%, Thailand 88%. Trajectory: gradual rise from about 36% mid 2021 to 41% 2025, indicating no traditional household debt crisis. Limitation: debt to GDP ratios reveal how much debt exists not by household are borrowing or their repayment capacity. Uneven income, stable consumption. RBI Annual Report 24-25. It highlights uneven real income growth, especially outside formal and high productivity sectors. Borrowing as an adjustment mechanism. Despite this, consumption remains resilient, implying households are adjusting via borrowing, not income growth or savings. Credit as a cushion, not capital. Asset versus consumption credit. Borrowing is increasingly used to bridge income-expenditure gaps, not to create assets. Household vulnerability. Even moderate debt becomes risky when it substitutes for income growth and savings. Stock versus flow. Where the stress lies. Balance sheet position. Financial liabilities accounted for 41.3% of GDP in March 2025, while gross household financial assets stood at 106.6% of GDP. There is no indication that liabilities have surpassed assets and households continue to be net holders of financial wealth, meaning household finances remain sound. Flow data, critical insight. Net financial saving fell to 3 to 4% of GDP, later rebounding to 7.6%. Volatility is driven by faster growth of liabilities than assets. Inference: financial wealth may rise, but the shock absorbing buffer is eroding. Why are household borrowing more? The fiscal angle. At the state level, quiet transfer of risk from state to household. A study of Budget 24-25 reveals that state governments have prioritized capital expenditure while limiting revenue expenditure. Committed expenditures, interest payment, pensions and salaries now account for between 30 and 32% of state revenue receipt, leaving little space for income support or country counter-cyclical transfer. States have actually become less responsive to household income stress while also becoming fiscally leaner. At the union level, the budget 2025-26 shows a continued emphasis on public investment with capital expenditure budgeted at 11.2 lakh crore and effective capital expenditure at 15.5 lakh crore. This strategy is growth enhancing, but it is not household neutral. Infrastructure investment raises medium-term potential, yet does little to smooth short-term income volatility. A macro risk hiding is plain sight. Private consumption accounts for close to 60% of GDP, making household spending the economic primary stabilizer. 3. Interacting trends. Uneven income growth. RBI Annual Report. Rapid expansion of unsecured retail credit despite improved borrower profile. Volatile and compressed net financial savings. Risk. Any shock, income slowdown, tighter financial condition, unemployment could force abrupt consumption retrenchment, destabilizing growth. Challenges and policy options for Budget 26-27. Challenges: rising household leverage, especially among vulnerable groups, debt financing, consumption-led growth, reduced fiscal cushioning at state and union level, declining household capacity to absorb economic shock. Policy options: enhanced disposable incomes, targeted income support, tax relief for middle and lower income groups, promote labor-intensive employment to stabilize income flows, rebalance fiscal policy, complement capital expenditure with selective revenue spending for income smoothing, strengthen household savings, incentivize financial savings and reduce dependence on unsecured credit, align growth with resilience, ensure that consumption growth is backed by incomes, not debt. Conclusion: India's macroeconomic stability ahead of Union Budget 2026 masks a fragile household finance dynamic. Growth sustained by debt finance consumption is not self-sustaining. Restoring balance between income, saving and borrowing must become a central fiscal priority. Without strengthening household shock-absorbing capacity, India risks an economy where growth persists on the surface while resilience steadily weakens beneath.